Hello YouTube, RJ. Hey, I just put out a video about FreeDV, a mode I'm trying out on HF radio that I'm very excited about. It's very interesting. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link in the description of this video. Highly recommend you catch that video first, go watch it, come back to this one because this is the continuation of that video basically. What I've done is I got a lot of comments, a lot of questions on that video, which is just great. I sat down and took the most common questions being asked, and I decided, well, let me do a video answering all those questions and go dive into the setup of my radio, show you how I've got my radio set up, where the settings are in the software. Basically, it won't be a one fit because everybody's radios and computers are different, but it will show you the simplified way I did it. A lot of people think they can't do it because they think they need multiple audio cards, and so I'll show you how to get around that. So let's jump into the biggest questions I got. By far, the number one comment I got was a variation of, "Oh, I don't want to use this. Why? It's not ham radio if you're sending your stuff out over the internet and you have to have internet, or do you need the internet, or why would I want to hook my radio to the internet?" FreeDV does not use the internet. It does have an add-on feature that needs the internet, but you do not need it. It's not part of FreeDV. FreeDV is directly radio to radio. Your computer does nothing but encode your voice to digital, key your transmitter, and send out your data. There's no internet involved. You do not need internet at all to use FreeDV. There is a add-on piece of software called FreeDV Reporter that I showed that uses the internet. And what it is they have a server, the reporting server, and if you check a box in FreeDV, it's totally optional. If you check the box, it sends the information about what you're doing out to the server, what frequency you're on, your call sign, when you're receiving, when you're transmitting, what your signal to noise ratio is. That allows you to pull this piece of software up and see everybody using that feature, who's on what frequencies, who's transmitting, while they're transmitting, who all is receiving and decoding that person. Very handy little piece of software. You do not need it. You can either ignore checking the mark or have no internet at all. Doesn't matter. Do not need internet. I want to be clear. Do not need internet. This is not like DMR or some of those things that go out and go through a node on the internet and run across the country. It is ham radio to ham radio. It's just the way we encode the voice. Instead of encoding it the way we do in a modulator inside the transmitter, we encode it into digital data. So no internet. Another big one is, how much bandwidth does it use? Well, I told most people it takes about half of SSB, and that's true. They claim that it's about 1.5K. And as you know, most people are running 2.7, 2.8, up to 3K on SSB. So you're talking roughly about half the bandwidth. Does it work with QRP? A number of people asked about this. It will work with any power level. It's the same as everything else with QRP. You might not be heard by as many people, but it will work with QRP. The conversation you saw in my previous video was kind of on the end of that conversation. And when I started out with that gentleman, I didn't realize it, but my radio was set for 16 watt output. And the reason for that is my linear amplifier, that's the drive power I have to put into it. So I had been using the amp on 75 meters the previous evening, and so my radio was set to 16 watts, and I forgot to turn it back up. And he was receiving me fantastic, and when I realized it, I turned it up to 90 watts, which is what I normally run on my radio for FreeDV. And what he reported was I sounded absolutely no difference, which makes sense. I'll explain in a minute. But my signal to noise ratio jumped up. And so what you need to understand about it is, if you have enough signal to noise for the receiving person to be able to decode your signal, the audio is not going to sound any different. And the reason is the audio you are hearing isn't truly the audio being put in the radio on the other end. It's being digitalized to ones and zeros, and then your computer is recreating the audio inside the computer on your end. Yes, it sounds like the person you're talking to, but it's not going to be affected by how strong the signal is. You're not going to get more audio with a stronger signal or less audio with a weaker signal or any of that. You're going to, you're not going to have like fading in or out or any of that, because either your computer was able to decode the signal cleanly and play it, or it wasn't. If you get a weak enough signal, what will happen is you'll get a little robotic sound to the audio. It'll start breaking up a little bit if it gets way down there in the signal. So yes, it will work with QRP. And my gut feeling is on QRP, it would be fantastic, because I think you're going to get through with QRP better than you typically could. Can you do CW on it? I was asked that by a couple people. Not that I'm aware of. I don't know what the benefit would be or how that would work. I would say no. It's hence being FreeDV, digital voice. It's not CW. Do I need a radio with a digital mode to it? No, you do not. Not at all. You can just run upper sideband, lower sideband. Okay. There's a couple people that mentioned, oh no, it's always upper sideband with digital. No, not with FreeDV. FreeDV decided to follow the standard convention of below 10 megahertz, lower sideband, above upper. So you treat it just like you would SSB. You put your radio to SSB, upper sideband in the higher frequencies, lower sideband in the lower frequencies, and you go to it. A lot of people said, RJ, this isn't new. You said it was new. Well, FreeDV itself is not new. It's been around for years. But what's new is a change in the software that's dramatic. The codecs for it has been created that uses machine learning, and it's called RADEV1 is what the initials for it is. And it is shockingly better. I mean, it takes it to a whole new world. They're not even in the same class. So if you've tried it, because that was the other one, the next question I was going to cover is, I tried it years ago. It wasn't that great. What changed? Well, this codecs changed. By the inclusion of machine learning, a machine learning algorithm, basically a mini AI, what happens is it's able to fill in data that didn't get through. And it can look at a signal, it can trace through and kind of say, okay, well, it was this, and then I lost it, and then it was this. So this part of it said this. Well, 99.8% chance that was this. Fill it in, and you get the audio. And it's revolutionary as far as FreeDV. It makes all the difference in the world. So I recommend, if you've tried it, you didn't think it was that great, don't go with that opinion. Try it again. Use the new codecs, see what you think. Another question I got a bunch of. How about the delay in decoding? Is it real long? Is it aggravating? You talk and you get away? It is not enough that I really notice it. It doesn't bother me at all. It's, I ragged you a lot with a bunch of older guys like me on a 75 meter every night. And I can tell you that the roundabout times is no more than what I'm used to. By the time they key up and start talking, FreeDV, there's so little additional with the lag. You won't even notice. It won't bother you at all. You won't even, to you, to you, it might mean that it seems like he waited an extra fraction of a second to push the key to talk. That's kind of the way it comes across. Isn't this illegal? Because, we're encrypting our audio and sending it across, and the FCC says you can't encrypt your data. That was one that came in. No, we're not encrypting the data. Encryption and encoding are two different things. We encode our audio already. We encode it using, AM modulation now. Now you're encoding it digital. You're not encrypting. Encrypting is a system where you use keys to make it where only people that you allow can understand what the information was. That's not the case. This is just another node. When you turn FreeDV on, anybody can load FreeDV up and listen to anyone talking. There's no secrets going across the airwaves, okay? That was so that spies didn't use ham radio encrypted to send information that the government couldn't listen into. Well, the government and everybody else has free access to FreeDV's encoding. They can listen to everything you say. So no, it's not encrypted. It's not illegal. It's no more illegal than FT8. Okay. The next one is, but I don't have two audio cards in my computer to use this. Well, I'm going to tell you, you don't need two audio cards. There's easy ways around making this work, okay? And I'm going to show you how. We're going to show you exactly how I'm set up on my FT710 Yaesu. I think this will apply to like 7300s. I'm positive FT10DX is exactly the same. I think you'll find this works on all your modern rigs that have USB connections for cat control and such. And one of the big secrets is, since you're not talking into your radio's microphone and you're not using the speaker on the radio to listen to this, you're talking into the computer and listening to the computer, which in turn is using the computer's using the radio for transmitting and receiving. Okay, that's important to understand. Audio is all handled by the computer, not the radio. What I do is I have this lapel mic on right here, this wireless mic that I'm recording my videos on. Since I do YouTube videos, I have these little mics. And I've got one right here I'm going to show you. This is my, I always keep backups around because I do videos, and if a mic dies, you know, that's a problem for me. So here's my backup set here. These are little wireless mics, and they come with these little USB dongles, and you plug them into USB-C, they charge up, and there's a little cable in here that you can plug this straight into a USB port on your computer. When you plug this into your computer via USB cable, it creates a USB sound device. So there's your extra sound card. So you turn this rascal on, they Bluetooth connect. You now have a way to talk to your computer, and that's how I do FreeDV. I talk to this mic into my computer, just like I'm doing right now, and that sound is mapped to my ham radio to transmit. The sound card on the computer is used on the receive side. That's for the audio coming from the radio back to the computer. So this basically works sort of like a sound card of its own. This is all I use. I'm going to take you through exactly how my radio is hooked up, and then we're going to go in the software and actually look at all the settings and how I've mapped it out to work. Works perfectly fine. There is one USB cable running from my computer to my FT710 plugged into the USB port. The other USB port on my FT710 has a mouse Bluetooth adapter plugged into it, and I have a little mouse to run my 710 with. So both ports are filled up, but one's for a mouse and one is for my computer. That's the same setup I've had since the day I put the 710 in. I plugged it into the computer. I used cat control through my logging software, so I didn't do anything there. All I did was load the DV software and go in and set up the settings. So we're going to jump over to the computer. I'm going to set up where I can show you stuff, and I'm going to walk you through the settings and show you how one of these and a USB cable from your computer to your radio, at least on a 710, is all you need, and what the settings are that I use and how that works out. So give me a minute to get set up over there. I'll come right back and we'll get to it. Okay, we're on the computer. Let's open up FreeDV. I've got mine set for FreeDV reporter pop up. And so what I'm going to do is go to Tools, Options. First thing you want to do, go in here and put your call sign, enable reporting. This is the checkbox that puts you on FreeDV. If you don't want to show up in the FreeDV reporter, you don't have this you don't want it to sit down over your internet, don't check this box. Uncheck this enable reporting. But if you do, put your call sign and your grid square locator in. And down here it says report to FreeDV reporter. And that needs to be checked also. The rest of these tabs are like for setting up the different frequencies, but they've already got them in there. All of this stuff I did not change, except for one, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So then you're going to go into your audio config. This is the tricky thing. You need to set up where the audio is coming from. So there's two tabs down here. It's important to notice down here at the bottom, receive and transmit. So start in your receive. So again, let me maximize it out. I'm opening it back up. Audio config. Notice the tabs at the bottom, receive and transmit again, because you're going to have to fill both of these out. So let's start on receive. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the top box, and it's input to computer from radio. Okay, so how the audio from your radio gets to your computer. And if you look, you're going to find one that says microphone parentheses USB audio device. That's created when you put the USB cable from your FT710 or DX10 or whatever to the computer. It creates this, and it's the microphone. That's going to be the from the computer, input to computer from radio. So you're going to choose that, and that will fill that device in. Then you're going to go down the bottom box here. Now, this is the output from the computer to speakers. Now, my audio speaker sound card on my computer is the Realtek Audio speakers, Realtek Audio. As you can see, that's what I've chose. But you could put this on headphones, whatever you want to listen to the audio from the radio on in your computer, whatever sound device you want to use, you do that. Do apply, go to transmit. Now come up here and input from microphone to computer. Now this is where we want to go up and find my little lapel mic. It's called microphone USB audio 1.0. That's the little, when you add your little lapel mic wireless, it's gonna come up with a name, and you're gonna use that. The output from the computer to the radio is going to be speakers parentheses USB audio device. That's the other side of that USB cable. Over here, it was microphone USB audio device. Okay. On the transmit, it's going to be speakers USB audio device. That's created in your computer when you plug the USB device to your radio and reboot if you have FT710. FT10DX, I'm pretty sure it's the same. Might be called different things on different radios, but you will have some USB audio device with a microphone and a speaker. And this is what you're looking for to put in here. Make sure you get both of these filled out properly and you apply them, and you'll be good to go. These 4 different things have to be filled out. Your input from microphone to computer, output from your computer to your radio. So the input from microphone to computer is our little lapel mic, whatever it's called. That's what you're going to use. And that gets you away from having to have multiple cards. The input to computer from radio, that's going to be your microphone, USB audio device, your USB cable again. And then again, the output of the computer speakers, that's whatever audio part you want to listen to, your speakers, your headphones, whatever on your computer. So apply that. And at that point, you're ready to go. You can click here and then record 2 seconds on your mic. When it's finished, you can go down here and hit play 2 seconds to hear it back. If you hear yourself, you see yourself recording and then you hear yourself playing back on the bottom down here, you know you've got it working. So that's all there is to that. So that's your setup. That's the trickiest part of setting this FreeDV up. Once you've got that set up, you're good to go. Now, there is one thing I do want to point out. If you go back in the options again and go to rig control, see this use USB LSB instead of DigiU, DigiL? I ended up having to check that for mine, and that solved the issue that you heard me discussing on the previous video about where when I would switch back and forth between Digi and analog in the software, it would offset me 600 hertz. This was the issue because the DigiU and DigiL on my radio has an offset in it. So if you have that issue, like on an FT710, check that, save it, and the problem will go away. You won't have any more problems. So really, that's it. You hit the start button up here, and the software will take off. Make sure you have the mode set to RADEV1, and this button here will take you between digital and analog, and that way you can switch back and forth as you're listening. And the PTT button will make you transmit, or you can push the space bar on your keyboard to trigger and untrigger transmit. And that's really it. That's FreeDV configuration simplified with a lapel mic. Works great for me. Good way to go. So the last thing I'd like to do is take a moment and show you a little sample of a reception where people are on the radio talking using FreeDV, and the signal strength is so low that I'm getting negative signal to noise ratio. And I want you to see that we're still getting audio. So give me just a minute to get set up, and I'll be right back.
Both the audio is sounding right now on this little cheap laptop. You asked for Alpha Romeo's to look at. My name is on an HP laptop, a used for like kids in like junior high. I'm cheap, but anyway, I'm just trying to figure this thing out, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to work on 160 meters. That's really what got me interested in this. I don't have an amplifier, I don't have power. I'm running like 45 watts right now.
Okay, I hope you noticed that on the SNR, he was down zero. And, there was some distortion to the audio, but what you need to understand, if I switched over to analog and tried to listen to the signal, he's in the noise. I can't hear anything but the background noise, the noise floor. He's not even, my spectrum scope is not even showing a signal there. So, you need to understand that what we're doing is we're listening to someone I wouldn't even know was on the radio talking if I was using regular SSB. So it's pretty amazing to me that the system can actually do what it can do. So anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. I hope it was informative, and I hope that you learned something. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I know the video was a little long. I tried to squeeze as much in as I could, as quick as I could. Hopefully, I've answered your questions. But most of all, I hope to see you in the next video.